The alarm goes off at 6:14 on a Tuesday because you never bothered to turn it off. You lie there for a moment, the job is gone, the commute is gone. The reason the alarm was set in the first place, gone. And the strangest part is that nobody noticed. Not your neighbor, who still waves from the driveway at 7:30 like you're heading somewhere. Not your mother, who still asks how work is going because that question is just what the call contains. You are 41 years old. You have not worked in 9 months. Nobody has asked how. Not because people don't care, because from the outside, nothing looks different. You still drive the same car, still live in the same house, still show up at the same grocery store on Wednesday mornings. The life looks identical to the one you were living when you had a job. That's not an accident. That's the whole architecture. Here's what it actually took. Not a windfall, not a business that went viral, not a trust fund or a lucky quarter in the market or a piece of real estate that tripled. Just 19 years of a gap. The distance between what came in and what you actually spent, that gap, quiet, unannounced, automated, is the only thing that separates the Tuesday morning you're having right now from the one your coworkers are having at the office you no longer attend. The gap started small. First real paycheck, $54,000 a year. Everyone around you upgraded. The apartment, the car, the wardrobe inching upward, one reasonable purchase at a time. You watched it happen. You'd done it yourself once. At 24, upgraded the car 6 weeks after a raise, and spent the next year feeling the exact same financial pressure in slightly nicer shoes. So this time you did something different, something quiet, something that took 11 minutes and required no one's permission. You bumped the automatic transfer. That's it. Before the raise had a chance to become a new normal, you redirected it, and then you went back to work and didn't think about it again. Nobody noticed. Nobody was supposed to. The transfer ran every payday for 19 years. Not dramatically, not at levels that required sacrifice or deprivation, or the kind of discipline people write books about, just consistently. The way a slow leak empties a tank without ever making a sound, except in reverse. The tank was filling, quietly, automatically, in the background of a life that looked completely ordinary from every angle that mattered. Your colleague Daniel got the same raises you did, every single one. He bought a bigger apartment after the first one, a newer car after the third. His lifestyle expanded perfectly, efficiently to absorb everything that came in. He is good at his job. He works hard. He will retire at 64 and it will feel earned because it was. He just doesn't know yet that the math was decided not by how much he made, but by how much of it he let become permanent. You never told him any of this. You never told anyone. That's the part that takes longer to explain than the money does. The Tuesday mornings, the ones that belong entirely to you now, they didn't arrive without a cost that doesn't show up on a balance sheet. There were dinners where the conversation moved the way it always moves, and you nodded along and said you were doing fine. There were years where doing fine looked, from the outside, like standing still. The car didn't change, the house didn't expand, the vacation wasn't the one that needed a photographer. And in a world that reads those things as the scoreboard, you spent a long time looking like someone who wasn't winning. You were building the floor. The specific loneliness of that, of moving in a direction nobody around you can see for years, without confirmation, without applause, without a single moment where the world acknowledges that something is quietly compounding in the background of your ordinary life, that part doesn't get talked about. The financial independence forums will give you the math. They won't give you the 11 years of Tuesday nights where the transfer ran and nothing felt different and you just kept going, because stopping would mean the decade meant nothing. The morning it became real wasn't dramatic. No email from an accountant, no wire clearing with a number that refused to process. Just a Sunday in March when you opened the spreadsheet you'd been maintaining for 19 years, the one with the boring name you keep in a folder nobody would ever think to open, and you ran the math one more time. And the math said something it had never said before. It said you were done. Not almost done, not close, done. You closed the laptop, you made breakfast, you watched the light move across the kitchen floor for a while, the world outside didn't reorganize itself. The neighbor's sprinklers came on at 7:15 like always. Someone down the street was loading a car, a dog was barking at something it would never catch. You gave your notice the following Monday, 2 weeks, standard. Your manager asked if you were going somewhere. You said you were taking some time. She nodded the way people nod when they filed an answer and moved on. Nobody pressed. Nobody calculated what time off at 41 actually meant. You cleaned out your desk on a Friday afternoon and drove home in the same car you'd driven to that office for 11 years, and the radio played something you didn't register, and the Tuesday arrived 9 days later, and the alarm went off at 6:14 because you never bothered to turn it off. Here's what nobody tells you about the morning after the math is finished. It's quieter than you expected, and the quiet is its own kind of question. Not a bad question, just one you didn't know you'd be asking. Because for 19 years, the structure of the day was given to you. The alarm, the commute, the calendar, the purpose pre-installed every Sunday night. And now the structure is yours to build from scratch on a Tuesday morning with nowhere to be and nothing urgent and a life that has quietly, automatically, without drama or applause, arrived exactly where you pointed it. The neighbor waves at 7:30. You wave back. Your mother calls on Wednesday. How's work? Fine, you say, which is true in every way that matters. The transfer doesn't run anymore. It doesn't need to. The floor is built. The ceiling is gone. And the Tuesday belongs to you in a way no one around you can see and no one has thought to ask about. That's not a complaint. It's just the weight of it. And some mornings, standing at the window with the coffee, watching the ordinary world do its ordinary thing, you think about the version of you at 24 who upgraded the car and felt the raise disappear inside of 6 weeks, who didn't yet know that the gap was the whole game. That the quiet decision made alone on a Tuesday night, the 11-minute transfer no one would ever congratulate you for, was the one that built everything. The alarm still goes off at 6:14. You've started leaving it on purpose. Not because you have somewhere to be, because you like lying there in the silence of knowing you don't. What would you do with a Tuesday that was entirely yours?